Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be taking you through the archives. I should do that wavy line thing, but we haven't got that on the technique on the camera, so we just do it manually. There we go. So going back to 20 years ago, about 20 years ago, I was working at the trade fair doing working dogs with a company called Cachet. They still have a couple of my cards available even now, but I was doing working dogs and I met Nemesis now, and they said, are you able to do dragons, witchcraft, and things like that, and a bit of a challenge? So I thought, yes, we'll give it a go. Over the years, I've learned a lot about witchcraft and pagan and all that kind of background. So I was guided by a lot of the witches from the initial years, and now I kind of go off what I know. So also, I did Nemesis's now very first own bespoke range. So they didn't do bespoke ranges until I came along. And I did, you'll see some of the codes, they go now 001, now 002. And now 001 is a Book of Shadows I designed. It's still available today, 20 years on. It's done really, really well and still quite popular. It's quite naively drawn, but I think people quite like the fact it's all hand drawn and all hand done. And then we did the introduced Ivy to the dark resin range to jazz it up a little bit and make it a little bit feminine, because the dark resin was a little bit harsh. So we jazzed it up with a little bit of Ivy. And here we see the Dueling Dragons. This is called the Dueling Dragons clock. There are a lot of copies available today, but the original ones were really heavy. So if you have the one at home that weighs a ton, it weighs like about the same as a brick. They are the original ones, so you have the original ones. Since then, like I say, they've been very copied more. And then from that, we brought in the dark resin and the red roses. The red roses were the first ones with the dragons. So there we are. And then we did a whole collection of red roses. From then, we went into the range called Spellcast. Here is one of them. At that time, I went over to factories to help with the painting because I like the aging. You see how it's got several tones in the paints? There we are. And you have to excuse how dusty it is. And several tones. So I went over there to show them how we like it done. And also this gold leafing. The reason you can't get these today is because all this kind of painting and the gold leafing is far too expensive. Obviously, prices of everything has gone up, and to produce this today would be extremely expensive. So this is the Spellcast cat box, and it's all lined here with felt and lined on the lid there. And we had dragons in this one too. So here's a little dragon one. We had unicorns and owls. And you might remember there was also a red book like this with a flying white owl. Flying snowy owl with a scroll. So that was because we brought this out. This is prior to this is pre Harry Potter. This was based on the series Charmed. And then as we brought it out came Harry Potter. So we were asked to introduce owls to it as well. So we introduced owls as well. So we had owls on a flying owl on a red book like this one. And we also had unicorns and all sorts of other things, so I can't remember now. But we had wishing boxes, we had flying owls, key holder, flying bats, key holder. The bat you can still get hold of today. I don't believe you can get the flying snowy owl key holder because that's been archived. So a lot of these, the factory that used to produce these is no longer working. So I mean, we're talking a long time ago. Then we brought out another little, with a itty bitty fairy there. So there we go. So that's another old range again. And we also brought out these little tiny witches. These were based on Megan Mogg, because I used to watch them, and The Worst Witch, because I used to read those as a kid. So these inspired these. And there was a set of 4. This is Tabitha, this is Belinda, this is Matilda, and there's Esmeralda I need to look for. So those were those. And then also, in Spellcast as well, we had, this was extremely popular. This is the Wishing Tree. Again, you can't get this anymore. So there might be an odd seller on eBay reselling it, but you can't get them new anymore. These were all from Nemesis Now. So Nemesis Now I started with 20 years ago. I worked with them for about 5 years before going freelance. So now I still provide some artwork for Nemesis Now, but I also work freelance for lots of different companies as well. So these are all the archive range. There was the dragon with the ivy, the dragon with the red roses, Spellcast, and we also did a collection of Gothic Fairies. See, we've gothed her up. Again, she's about 16, 17 years old, so she's very old now. And these are the ones with metal wings. I didn't design the metal wing style. This is with one of the factories we're working with, but we designed our own collection for Nemesis. So this fairy is my own design, and she's actually, or she's chipped as well, unfortunately. She's actually wearing what I used to wear for the trade fairs. So for the trade fairs, I had, but this is my costume, my entire costume. I had the cape, I had this skirt, and I had this red basque. And that's how old you can tell it is, because this is the shape I used to be. I used to be itty bitty, but now I'm not. So that's how old you can tell it is, because I'm not this shape anymore. And if you can see there, this is spider web and an itty bitty spider there. And she also has tattoos on her arm, a little tattoo on her boob as well. So there we are. I can't even remember what she's called now. But yeah, so we did a little range of Gothic fairies as well. So I will dig out. I've been going under the stairs to look at the archives, to get out all the archive stuff, so you can see basically how I originated. So started with, I was working with galleries, like National Trust galleries and galleries in London years ago. And also some of my artwork went round to Madison Square, New York. And they were all oil paintings and watercolours. Then from there, I was doing working dogs with Cachet, and I met Nemesis Now. They liked my cat dragon artwork, and they said they'd like me to work with them. So that sort of brings us to now. So now I'm working freelance. I still, I work for 36 companies now. It changes some of them because they're only on small contracts. So at the moment it's 36. And I'm doing mostly dragons, cats, owls, and unicorns, but it's mostly cats for me. Cats are my main passion, because the cats I can put in lots of kind of Victorian type environments. So I love Victorian architecture and like interior scenes, and I like sort of like quite dark. I quite like dark themes. So I have to do some light stuff as well, because obviously not everyone wants dark, but I quite like dark. Macabre themes as well. So there we go. I've also got some Reapers. I did a Reaper range for Nemesis as well. Some people might have the bookends. If I can find some of those, I will do another video and show you. Okay, bye.